Listen to Local with Adam Velo, and I'm Adam Velo. And today's guest, we have someone coming in from Kaurna Land with a new release called Upwelling, an artist who blends multiple genres and has classical training as well. And it's something that we can discuss through the interview today. And this new release is Upwelling. So, welcome to the show, Hannah Margaret.
Hello, thank you for having me.
No problem at all. Before we get to the release, I do have to start with, I noticed with your release rollout is that you said that it was going to be exclusively available on Bandcamp and also SoundCloud to begin
Mhm.
with other streaming platforms coming later. What was the decision made for that?
Well, to start with, I was just really excited to
Hmm.
kind of get it out there. This process is so new to me. I haven't, like, I've done little bits and pieces helping other people record backing vocals and things before in like a professional environment, but I'd never done anything myself.
Hmm.
So it's been really interesting being on sort of the producer, I guess, side of things.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I've learned so much about just like distribution and everything. And I think that, like, because you have to, I didn't realize, like, to get your stuff on Spotify, for example, you have to go through a third party distributor.
Hmm.
So that process in itself is going to take a little while, but I think, like, to start with, just to make it almost like a little bit of a sneak peek. And it's just exciting to be able to share things independently as well as on those bigger platforms. And I actually, like, for a long time I toyed with the idea of whether or not I should actually put anything on Spotify, like,
Hmm.
or on Apple Music, just from a principle standpoint. But unfortunately, like, as a newer artist, as far as releasing original things, it is really difficult to, like, establish yourself when that's what people listen
Yeah,
on. And yeah, and so my focus, I guess, as an artist is very much about like the experience for people and performing live. And like, that's the most important part to me. So like, I also want it to be accessible to people, though. So
yeah.
if it means that eventually it is going to be going on Apple Music and Spotify and that, um then that's what I'll do to accommodate, to make people, yeah, be able to access it. But yeah, so part of it is impatience, and part of it is just just learning, just
Yeah.
learning the ropes of everything. I was just
Yeah.
excited. I'm just so excited and so proud and really grateful of, like, of the people who have been involved. And yeah, it's just been
Yeah.
a really cool journey. Yeah, just the way to start, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, like
Yeah,
that passion is what we need in the industry with a lot of these artists. I mean, it's fascinating that these artists, they go in learning music, but never
mm,
like the distribution and marketing aspect is an expectation that has never been like taught to
totally.
begin with. So yeah, to
Yeah,
to
yeah.
hear processes like that and having to basically learn on the go, that must be such a challenge in itself when you're just so
Totally.
excited to get out there. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Absolutely. It's really it surprised me, I think. Like, I knew that there was it, like, it was going to be hard work. It was never going to
Mm.
be like, oh, let's just float around and
Yeah.
decide to release something. And like, I knew that it wasn't going to be that easy.
Yeah.
But it has really made me appreciate, like, the effort and the time and the money and the, just like, for independent artists, the real challenge that actually is releasing music and
Mm.
remaining passionate when you're faced with so many challenges, just to release like a single song, let alone an EP. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah, it's such a big undertaking, and then yeah, with the platforms, you have the dilemmas, as you say, with ethics around it. I know
Totally.
King Gizzard, I'm pretty sure, is someone that releases
Yes.
exclusively on Bandcamp these days, which is um,
Yeah.
a, quite a crazy pivot. But yeah,
Oh
it's
yeah,
just
kudos to them,
yeah,
absolutely. And I think it was reading about their standpoint that made me really consider whether or not I would open things up to those other platforms. But Yeah, no, you're right. You bring up a good point. Mm.
Mm. But no, it's definitely understandable as an independent artist now in Korea to get it as distributed as possible. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, of course, spoke about the distribution, but we haven't spoken about the song itself yet. So
True.
we'll
This is
move
true.
on to
Yeah.
that. This
Yeah.
song
Yeah.
comes from a place of power that is, not to be contained. How did you arrive creatively to this release?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I'm a registered nurse by profession. I've always done music through school and things, and it's definitely a passion of mine. But one of my sort of coping mechanisms, I guess, something that I do to look after myself is I spend a lot of time at the beach. I
Mm,
just find it a really grounding place. I live like on Ghana country in Adelaide, and so wherever I've lived in the last few years, I've not been further than a 15-minute, well, my whole life, I've not been further than a 15-minute drive to the beach.
mm,
So it's a real grounding place for me. And I wrote this song. Sometimes I find with lyrics, especially, things kind of just place themselves. They don't require much attention. They just sort of are. They
mm,
just needed to be there. And I had gone to the beach after this shift where I'd had a particularly horrible day. I think it was a night shift, so it was very early in the morning that I went to the beach. And I think I'd had I can't remember specifically. I was really low emotionally. I think a patient had passed away. And for further context, I work in pediatric intensive care. So it's not very often that we have children pass away, but when they do, it hits you, as an empathetic being, it's going to, and being able to place yourself in the shoes of that family and to be there during those vulnerable moments is such a privilege, and it's something that I very much treasure about the job that I have. So creativity has been a real outlet for me. And like this particular shift, when I went to the beach afterwards, these lyrics kind of almost like a chant, I guess, sort of fell to me, I suppose you could say. And I just was overwhelmed with how big the ocean was. And, I was walking along this jetty and there were waves coming under the jetty. And the deeper you went, like the stronger the waves. But even though they weren't crashing, you still knew that if you were in the water and you were immersed in that, you would have been brought with that. And
mm.
it was just this real powerful, powerful metaphor. I felt just for things in life generally. And actually, I'm going to go a little bit nerd out on you for a second.
All right.
So, um, my family, we love camping, we love water
Yeah.
sports. And about, God, I think we've been going there for 13 or 14 years. There's this little town. It's actually sort of halfway almost between Victoria, like Melbourne and Adelaide. Not even quite that. If you know where Mount Gambier is, this place
Yeah,
is
yeah.
called Robe.
Oh, yep, yep.
And it's a really special spot. And our family now go there, and we've made many friends over many years. And we go there annually for a
Yeah.
holiday. And something really special that happens every year when we're there is called the Bonnie Upwelling. Have you
Yeah.
heard of this concept before?
I've been to Rome before, but I don't think I've heard of this specific concept. So I'm
Yeah.
happy to hear the sound, of course.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, I took some notes because I contacted. There's a family friend of ours. His name's Marcus. Shout out to Marcus because he
Shout
said
out,
he's going to
Marcus.
listen to this. Um, I rang him because he just explains things so beautifully. And the Bonnie Upwelling is a phenomena that happens in very few places around the world.
Mm,
I've taken notes from what he said to me, and we had it after our phone conversation. So
yeah.
it occurs in Peru, California, and Namibia
Mm,
predominantly, and it's essentially it occurs between Portland and Robe on the like Great Australian Bight, and it's to do with basically the replacement of water. So, because of the different tides and winds, and I'm not going to do this explanation justice, like Marcus really explains it the best, but to do with this replacement of water. So, you have what's been sitting there all winter, this warm water kind of leaves, and with it comes a replacement, which actually comes from beyond the intercontinental shelf. So it's the theory is, and well, research theory at that, is that this water comes from like hundreds of kilometers underneath the water, right on the base level of the sand, and brings this upwelling of nutrients. It also changes the temperature of the water. So it's like this full replacement of, the water that was there comes up, all this nourishment and nutrients is brought up with this water. And it starts with feeding like the phytoplankton, then obviously the krill, then the whales. And it's why our ecosystem along the southeastern coast is so rich, especially in its marine life, and why this algal bloom has been so devastating to affect, the phytoplankton and things that would be helping with this. It's like a magic boom of life at this time of year, and it happens predictably every summer. I think it just has a lot of really beautiful ties and metaphors to real life, to move on and to be able to kickstart something new, whether that's in relationships, in your life experience, in anything, in gardening, in whatever. It just has so many life metaphors that you need to replace and to move. You need movement, you need change to bring this upwelling of beautiful things. And it's a really magic scientific phenomena that happens every single year. And I think I probably subconsciously knew a bit more about it than I realized when I wrote the song, because upon reflection, reading the lyrics and knowing more about that phenomena, it's really quite interchangeable.
Yeah.
And it's just a really powerful, and like you said, sort of like unlimited, uncontained power. Um, and it just reminds me that, life is going to keep on keeping on, and you can choose to move with it. It's like there's no point resisting it. And I just found this song fell into being the title track because it's a metaphor for everything. It's
Mm.
this really beautiful personal thing that affects so many lives, be it marine lives or people or otherwise. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's my little scientific nerding out spiel. I think I'd better get a recording of Marcus saying it because it's far better than my explanation. But you get the gist of it. It's a magical boom of nutrients and kickstarts the biome, the microbiome. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, hold out for Marcus's explanation somewhere else
Yeah.
on the platform in the future, but in the
Yeah.
meantime, I mean, the fact that it's such a, localized concept that really only people like yourself can tap into from being um, familiar with the area and the whole ecological system around that. I think it's incredibly special that these types of stories always need to be just treasured in song like you have, and I think you do such a great job of that.
Thank you. Oh,
Yeah.
I feel it's very special. It's a very
Yeah.
special piece of music, and even if no one else likes it, I'm really proud of it.
Yeah. But at least I'm on board with it. So
I
that's what
appreciate it. Thank you so much,
yeah.
Adam.
But yes, this whole project was actually the first time you've ever been in a pro recording studio as well. What was the
Mm.
biggest takeaway you took from being in that environment with the this type of work?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think the biggest thing I've learned is to be open when you're working with other musicians. As a solo artist, I think it can be really easy to get stuck in like, oh, this is the way it must be.
Yeah.
But some of the songs that I'm most proud of on this record have come because I've been open to suggestions and I've worked through things and just starting the day by being like, hey, this is the concept of the song. What do you think about this? What should we change here? How do you think we could adjust this to fit more like align with this style? Or like there's one song we pretty much completely rearranged because we realized quite early on that a lot of my songs I didn't realize are in quite a similar time signature.
Oh, okay.
And so we thought, well, why don't we like change it up a little bit? And it was a suggestion from the guitarist Stuart Day, and he was like, why don't we try it like in 4/4 time or something? And there was this amazing drum beat then that Peter Kershaw, he was the drummer on the record, he came up with, and then Dennis, the bass player, came up with this sick like this bass line, and it's so different. And I'm like, I can't resist. I'm putting both versions on the EP because I just think from one song to be open to having other opinions and other perspectives, like that's been the most valuable thing because I've learned so much from these musicians, and like there's a tangible result to show that, so I think my biggest piece of advice or takeaway would be to be open and flexible and not rigid in your thinking. Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean that also applies to life in general as well, outside
totally.
of music as well. I do notice that your band as well ties in with that ocean theme as well, called the King
Yeah.
Tide as well. So like that
Yeah.
little nice detail there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, I think that came about because I was telling the guys about how I wrote the song Upwelling, and to kind of increase the, I don't know, tangibility of it, I guess, a little bit more. In South Australia around that time, we'd been having these incredible king tides. I don't know
Mm,
if you remember hearing about it, but like they were ripping up pavement and they were like just so powerful and just
mm.
such freak occurrences that so rarely happen. And we had like two or three in a really close proximity. And I was telling them how it was near one of these king tides when I'd written this song. And they were like, hey, that's a good name for a band. And I was like, yeah, cool. All right. Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah, yeah,
No, I think it's
it
good.
on you can see it on the poster, like the King Tides perform,
Yeah.
and it's yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
like going back though to your, you said that you work as a nurse most times, so you get like 12-hour shifts thrown at you. What are
Yeah.
some of the most unconventional places you found yourself trying to work around those shifts for your passion?
Mm. I've definitely done my fair share of like night shifts and then having a gig later that day, or like working on, I think, the poster. If you're listening, Kath, my boss, like you don't hear anything. But I've definitely had a few night shifts where my patient's been really settled. Albeit maybe sedated, and with a breathing tube in. But they were safe. They were safe.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. I didn't have headphones in. I was safe, and I would work on a few things on a night shift. Yeah, those moments were strange when it kind of hits you. You're like, oh yeah, I'm just working on my other life, and I'm here looking after a critically ill child. It's a bit yes, quite juxtaposition.
Mm. Yeah.
It's very strange. Very strange. But yeah, like I said earlier, I'm so grateful to have the creative outlet, but it does leave you in some odd positions at times. I think,
Yeah.
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 No, it's I mean obviously I can speak for so many people that say it's so important to have people in these industries as nurses and like keep the country going. And yeah, obviously on a
Mm,
creative side, really appreciate all these musicians that are pursuing their passion and telling their stories as well. So it's both is
yeah.
super important aspects to
Yeah.
recognize.
Oh, and shout out to all my co-workers.
Yeah.
Honestly, I just there are people who have worked in this area for 20 plus years,
Mm.
and that's on the younger spectrum of things, and it's quite it's just yeah, it's amazing. There are some really amazing people that I work with. I'm very, very lucky. Mm.
Truly. But yes, for now you're obviously in South Australia, but it soon will be traded for a different environment.
Yeah.
What's inspiring the move?
Um, I really like cold. No, I'm kidding. I absolutely hate the cold. I don't know why I chose Chicago is possibly one of the coldest places. What inspired the move? I've always wanted to live elsewhere.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit of a keen traveler. I spent 9 weeks away in 2024 doing a solo trip around Europe and the UK, and I just love it. I think I'm forever gonna have itchy feet. The thing I love about traveling is how much you learn about the way other people live. And I just think there's so many takeaways. I feel that every time I've come back from somewhere else, and I'm very fortunate to have been able to travel quite a bit, a little bit for music, but largely for pleasure. And I've been very, very fortunate. And I kind of just decided I got to a point where I was like, well, my family is generally very healthy. Like I I'm very lucky I have a good job, but I can come back to it. I don't have a partner to think about. I just feel like it's this little window that I think I'd kick myself if I didn't take it.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, just the idea of being able to be so close to the rest of the world rather than having to have like a 24-hour flight just to get somewhere or like I don't know, it's just very special. And like in my time that I spent overseas in 2024, I spent about a week in London and about a week in Edinburgh in Scotland during the Fringe. And I
Mm.
just found the people in Scotland were just so beautiful and friendly. And knowing that I would be moving there without any real ties, like I chose Glasgow because I thought, okay, I know Australians are everywhere. They're a bit like a plague, but like out, out of everywhere in the UK, I was like, where can I go that maybe isn't so infested?
Yeah.
Just to meet other people and
Yeah.
yeah, and I think I've heard some really good things about Glasgow and the music culture over there. I know they have a really good conservatorium.
Mm.
And just from some of the things I've seen online, bands I've listened to, I just think it's a really rich culture and like as far as music goes, and obviously as far as Western culture goes in Australia, and especially for music, we are a very young culture here. And I
Mm.
think there's so much to learn. And I think we've had so many kickbacks because of, you've had COVID and then cost of living crisis. People can't afford to go out and spend, $30 every night on tickets to go see a show. And like, it's not as integral a part of the culture here as I feel it would be somewhere where it's been around for so many
Mm.
hundreds of years. And so I'm really intrigued to see what it's like and to experience just, life somewhere else, music somewhere else, just concepts. And I'm just really excited to learn. And
Yeah.
that's definitely, I'm not actually getting my nursing registration when I move over to the UK. So
Yep.
I'm really going to kind of throw myself in and just, yeah, give music a bit of a crack, get back into hospo, just, yeah, really make the most of like a culturally rich experience. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such an important thing to put yourself out there, and obviously, over there you've got the all that Celtic music that you haven't like.
Mm,
It's not hasn't been explored as widely in other cultures, but they've got this hyper specific culture with this specific music, and
totally.
across and then not far away you've also got Ireland, who have brought in a universal basic income for musicians as well,
Yes.
uh,
Yeah.
which just shows how integral it is to all these areas. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. And I think like music does so much for health. And I think that's something I've recognized working in health is, I was fortunate enough the other day, I was looking after a patient and I was provided with a guitar by my boss because she's very, very supportive. She comes to all my gigs and everything. And she was like, oh, here's a guitar. And for two and a bit hours, this child was like just in for some respiratory support. Um, and I just played for her for like 2 hours. And it was the first time I'd seen her smile on that admission. And I think, normalcy and like really special, nice experiences where, usually you'd socially connect. And I think that's so healing in itself. Health is whatever you describe it as or whatever helps you at the end of the
Yeah.
day. It's not limited to antibiotics and medication that are going to help you. And there's like, you really need to treat the whole person.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's for certain, honestly. And
Mm.
but despite the move, you are going to be coming back for a EP launch show later in the year in Port Adelaide. So tell us about
Yeah.
that. Mm.
Yeah, so it'll actually be just before I leave, just before I
Oh
take
yeah.
off. So the reason that I chose to do it in Port Adelaide is because my family migrated on dad's side. I think it's great grandparents. I really need to do more research. They came over as 10-pound poms in 1856.
Yeah.
And they actually came into Port Adelaide and then settled in Strathalbyn, which is like somewhat regional
Yeah.
little town in South Australia. So it felt very fitting that before I kind of take off, I you know touch grass again,
Mm.
where my family originally came on that side of the family.
Yeah.
And yeah, just before I take off, and I knew that it needed to be near water because it just felt that it fit the theme and this maritime thing. And like the emblem that I've designed as well, and like it's all very elusive, just a maritime um, existence. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And the preparation for this show, of course, you do a lot of cover gigs, which a lot of emerging artists can obviously relate to. But how different does it
Mm.
feel to prepare for your own show compared to like a
Oh,
cover show?
so different,
Mm,
so different. I feel music for me, like I was talking about earlier, is very much about the experience and the
mm,
way that you connect with somebody, and the way that you make someone feel just based off of sound can be so amazing. Like again, just an integral part of the human experience, I think. And um, my goal for this is for it to be able to be an experience that people can relate to and an experience that people can exist for. Like, for
mm.
example, I'm very heavily going to encourage not using phones.
Yeah,
Like, turn them off if you can, because I'm going to hire a photographer and a videographer. And, it's music, it's sound,
yeah.
it's soulful, and it's all live and there. And, yeah, just creating that experience that I really hope people can connect with. And, it's so special to me, and I'm really excited. Yeah, just to share that with people. Yeah.
Mm. And the phones has precedent too, because you see a lot of legends now. Like I'm pretty sure Bob Dylan did it for his tour. You got Paul McCartney has also done
Yeah,
the
right.
no phones for both
There
their
you go. I
tours.
didn't realize. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So
Oh,
it's
we get so wrapped up, don't we? It's easy to. It's an addictive thing. The
yeah.
amount of times I've thought of just getting a flip phone again. I should just do it. I should just do it.
Just turn up to
Yeah.
Scotland, you've got the one flip phone, and
Yeah, my
that's
little.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But of course, you have so many interests in many genres. Just for example, you've got influence from indie, rock, jazz, classical, country, and all of them pop up in your music. But which Australian artists throughout all that have you been listening to lately?
Lately, I've been listening to an artist called Kathleen Halloran.
Yeah.
She actually is the guitarist with Kate Sobrano. And I occasionally there's a jams night in Adelaide on a Thursday night called Dusty Lee's Blues Jam, and Dustin actually worked with her on this album. So it's really lovely having that connection of like, oh, I know you. That's cool. You're on that album. And I just think she's brilliant. So that's who I've been listening to lately. But I think throughout everything, Paul Kelly always, Missy Higgins
Legend,
always. Oh
legend.
yeah,
Yeah.
I particularly appreciate Casey Chambers, and I've listened to her audiobook somewhat recently, and I saw her at Taylor Bend last
Yeah.
year, and I just thought she was wonderful. She
Yeah.
just is such a relatable, grounded person, and her music, like she just puts everything into it. You know,
Yeah.
after some of her songs, she did a cover of what's that Eminem song? Lose Yourself. She
Yeah.
did a
Yeah. Yeah.
cover of it, a country cover of it,
Oh
and
yeah.
God, I thought she was going to pass out after she did it. It was the most like she put everything into this song.
Yeah.
That's really inspirational to me, and yeah, just think quintessential to Australian music, like all those artists are, and
Yeah.
yeah, I take a lot of inspiration from that, and learning to be able to tell stories in the way that they do is
Mm.
something I always strive for. Mm.
Yeah. And they'll always be there to pass the torch on to the further generations too. Like they're just all
Mm,
those are just so they reach out for so many artists, and it's so admirable to see the work they do around
absolutely.
that. One of the questions I normally finish on is what's your favorite lyric from this release that you've just put out?
Ooh, from this release. I think for me, it's a lyric from Upwelling. Um, it is demanding respect, accepting the rain. And it kind of just speaks to me about the point of my life that I feel that I'm in, you know, like I'm present, I'm here, I, you know, I want to be respected for that and accepting the rain, you know, you like everyone's going to go through terrible times. It's part of the human experience. Like it's about the way that you cope with it and you deal with it, and um yeah, so I think that's probably my favorite lyric. Yeah,
I love the story of resilience and yeah, being
definitely. Yeah,
respected
that's
as
the
a
word.
person. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
resilience, exactly.
yeah. No, I really love the lyrics in this release. It's and yeah, it's been a pleasure having you on to discuss all
Thank
this.
you.
And
Thank you so much, Adam.
and if there's anywhere that you'd like to direct people to look for your music and your work, where would they be?
Yeah, so I have an Instagram account, so it's Hannah Margaret Music AU. And I tend to put links in the bio to when I've had new releases and doing posts and things. At the moment, on SoundCloud and Bandcamp, I've got Upwelling available, and then in the coming like next couple of months, I'd like to say weeks, but we'll see what happens. The rest of the EP will also be available, and everything eventually will be accessible on Spotify and Apple Music and all of the things. But I just, yeah, just keep seeing people live. I think if you
Yeah.
see I've got a show, please come. Um, and yeah, I might even come to Melbourne sometime. Who knows?
Well, you know I'd be there.
Oh, that'd be amazing. I'd love to meet you
Yeah,
in person. No,
yeah,
thank you so much. You've asked some wonderful questions, Adam. I really appreciate your time.
and appreciate your time so much too. Thank you so much.